And then I woke up early and waited for summons. Summons never arrived. Even when the sun hung high in that scarlet sky, I remained alone. In fact, I didn't even eat breakfast with them. Something dropped a tray of food off at my door. They must be busy with something. I kicked myself for wasting time. They didn't appear for lunch either, just a tray of food at my door. It was odd to see the schedule shift, but I wasn't going to complain about having some freedom. I ate and decided to mentally catalog some notes for myself. Viola and Vivere romantically entangled. Violo practically glued themselves to Vivere whenever they weren't squabbling. Couldn't quite get a handle on the power dynamic between the two. Vivere seemed generally more stable and logic-driven. Violo reminded me of a hurricane with its intense emotions and mercurial attitude. Despite that, Violo seemed to be the one in control of the situation. Vivere had voiced his displeasure, but Violo seemed to be ignoring that. Felt out of character. Old legend described the creator as killing anyone who even looked at his creation. It felt odd he ignored Vivere's loud complaints. Did I make Vivere powerless in the end? Didn't feel quite right either. Vivere obviously held a lot of power in the area. Something else had to be going on here. Most likely. The situation didn't match any of the legends of old, and that made me nervous. While the pair were known to be volatile, they at least had a set pattern. That pattern had been broken. My hands shook a bit while I processed this. I am the unluckiest person alive. When people with the power to remove me from my current captors were the other living gods. He most in the car. He sounded eager to act, but they both bowed to Amare's more patient approach. Amare. They seemed pleasant enough. Something about them made my skin crawl. Reminded me of when I faced overlords. No, puppet masters. Their behavior indicated that they were holding back, something back, and that made me nervous. Could I actually rely on them? Can I rely on any of the living gods to set me free? The anxiety rolling in my stomach forced me to stand and pace. No matter how I managed to angle the situation, I struggled to find an option where I didn't have to hope for the best. Didn't have anyone looking for me after all. Mercenaries were tools that people used and forgot about. Some people may note my odd disappearance. Maybe they muse on it for a bit. Ultimately, I'd be forgotten. Silent at the harsh reality of life. Long-term friendships never had been on the table for me. That was the fact that I'd come to terms with. I couldn't let dark thoughts keep me distracted. Staying in a dingy room would do little to help me. Needed to get some fresh air. Not that the dust and pollen choked hallways would have fresh air, but it was better than here. I grabbed my maps and charcoal before heading out. Snuck around the castle more. It had 4 distinct layouts from dawn until dusk. Most flesh abominations followed a strict routine, rarely diverting off. Even if they did divert for a period of time, I had observed them reset back into the pattern. Most of the routines involved cleaning, but there was one set that had me curious. They only did this pattern in the morning. It disappeared into what seemed to be a winding staircase. Never been able to see what they did down there. I wanted to find out though. My mission set, I began to navigate my way to the odd staircase. My chain legs remained a constant obstacle. On more than one occasion, they snagged on something. I barely avoided cracking my face open. Huffed at the situation. I was adapting fast. It took a lot of self-control to pace my steps, but it was better than tripping. If I survived long enough, I'd get used to it. I made it to the odd staircase in record time. Like I deserved in the past, the flesh abominations hurried out of it. They scared like seizing bugs, twitching and grotesque. Only once the last one hurried away did I dare to move from my hiding spot. I took a deep breath before navigating my way down. The rest of the castle had been somewhat lit up for me, but this staircase was pitch black. I walked for a small eternity. Between the staircase had to go at least a mile underground. There wasn't a single floor added onto the staircase either. It was a straight shot from top to bottom. The smell was what hit me first. Humans contained in confined spaces have a very distinct smell. Combine that with blood and mildew, and you got a foul odor. I tried breathing through my mouth, but I could taste the rank air. Disgusting. The sounds came next. Faint echoes of pain moaned and shrill screams. The further down I went, the noise grew louder. Some of the voices were incoherently babbling through sobs. Others would just scream. A red glow began to faintly light up the bottom of the stairs. Set down to a perfect rendition of what hell probably looks like. Thin cells contained anywhere from 1 to 7 people. Though the cells with the higher counts tended to have more corpses. I recognized them. They were those bastards from the ship. I navigated around the dungeon, peering in. Other people were here, but I recognized bits of their clothing and some of their tattoos. Every single person down there was involved with the tourmaline ring. Some of them I recognized from bounty boards. Extortion, drug trafficking, human trafficking, modern day slavery, pimping, illegal workforce, selling children. These were the type to have done it all. The dungeon explained into many blocks of cells. The cells were narrow but long, thus each block only held around 6 cells. I checked many of them, but I didn't see a single person associated with the tourmaline ring. None of the other victims are here. The realization hit me, and the shock had me gasping. I regretted the instinctive motion with a cough, trying to shake off the bad smell and taste. Old wives' tales began to play in my head. People say that if a loved one goes missing, you need to pray for a Sacrarium ghost ship. Or Sacrarium, maybe. These ships will have no sailing crew. Instead, they're piloted by odd shadows that sink into the waters after docking. On board, people will find shaken up victims all murmuring about the shadows who saved them. Of course, most professionals thought the victims had rebelled and didn't want to risk getting in trouble for murder. Some areas could be weird about self-defense, so playing mad looked better. Other professionals said ghost ships didn't even exist. Thinking about it now, with what I had seen and what I was looking at, he has rules that seemed to fit. At the very least, most victims wouldn't catch his eye. They tended to be nobodies. Why would he waste his time poking around them? A small bit of relief grew in me then. Maybe, just maybe, those people got away. That part drove me crazy. I was wondering why I was upstairs and not down here. Was my odd nature really that important? Could absorb a lot of energy, but not endless, since my body would ultimately break down. That was a form of destruction. It didn't really seem to fit with this title as the creator. I shook aside the weird thoughts. Regardless, I was grateful to be on the other right side of those bars. Peering to the cells with the crew who took me, I counted that some were definitely dead. Captain sat in one cell, folding on himself and shivering. He murmured prayer after prayer, but he had no mercy. Not even the gods in the Sacrarium Pario. I observed the pitiful sight and noted that the keys for the cells rested off hooks in the tight hallways between blocks. In theory, I could let them out. They have nowhere to go. They die. Maybe that was better than rotting down here. Images of victims I'd saved flashed through my mind. Terrified children miles from home, looking up at me with shell-shocked eyes. Men and women who were never recovered their autonomy after the mind-breaking abuse of the tourmaline ring. The many cross-wrapped corpses I'd seen over the years. Do these people deserve mercy? No. Especially when you got to the children. Nah. You're giving people the worst news possible built up in me. This is what people like you deserve. I would sentence more than myself than any of them. After all the horrible crimes, suffering at the hands of a cruel living God seemed fitting. They would never return victims to their families, even though men shattered homes or minds. But it made me feel a little better. Maybe too many years in this line of work left me particularly bitter. Couldn't tell. Either way, I feel no guilt walking away from them. Journey back up to my room was less annoying than going down. Going up, I could trace each upward step with my toe, moving at a snail's pace, a better a snail than a stain. Thankfully, I'd gotten the schedule right too. Didn't encounter single one of the abominations on my way back up. Once I was in the castle halls again, a few scurried past me. With them, a few tables and chairs tumbled around. So that the furniture moving like animals never stopped being weird. I barely dodged the table that almost slammed into me. It paused to shake itself at me for a little bit. My third eye was at force shut. I would have heard quite the lecture. It eerie was loud enough to draw the attention of some curtains who crawled along the hall that hurried me towards my room. What was even going on? I ate dinner alone as well. It had been a very odd day, but also productive. I knew where that staircase went. Dungeons were useless for now. They could be relevant later, though. Went to sleep exhausted from my journey. First I thought something was off when I woke up was the smell. Oh, a overwhelming scent of earth and flowers stood out in the room. Thus, I didn't even need to see him to know he was there. I sat up from my eyes. Vivere loomed over my bed, staring at me. Good morning. Is it though? He tilted his head. What? His face was neutral, but his tone was sharp. Sure, it hasn't been a good morning for me. Violo's creations were in quite the tizzy this morning. The creatures of habit that follow a strict routine. They notice when things are out of place, including smells. My heart pounded in my chest. They are actually panicked at the new sin, especially since it generated conflict with their orders. On one hand, they are allowed to no one to allow no one into the dungeon. He turned to pin me with his gaze. On the other hand, they aren't allowed to hurt you. Despite the headache to wrangle all of them. Luckily, nothing got out. I expected to find a small mass of scum writhing around my home, like cockroaches or rats, but that wasn't the case. I did have to soothe his creations for a while. They're a bit dumb, so it takes a lot of reassurance to get them to calm. Didn't mean for it to happen. I know. I'm merely here to remind you of a simple fact. Any action you take can't be seen. Any action at any moment. I nodded. I'm glad you understand. I look at the consequences weren't more dire. All the same curiosity burned in me. These are Violo's creations. I was weary running after them. He didn't help with research, so what was his role in this place? What do you do?
What?
You are a researcher like Violo, yet you ask me questions on his behalf. You seem to mostly just exist in the castle. Yes, Violo means you aren't a butler or a maid. Are you some kind of homemaker? It's a valid question. I guess that would be the more accurate assessment. Yes, most of my tasks include maintaining Pario itself. I also watch the blood waters. My condition means my duties need to be light. I'm a caretaker of sorts. You find that enjoyable? Spending my days tending to the crumbling castle sound like pure hell. Very much so. You always want to end up in such a position? Didn't know anything about him, so the question was fair. Vivere paused. Kind of for us was always to run away together, make a small farm. Never anticipated all this, it just happened. You ever wanted more?
What?
That's supposed to. Guess I'd just be skeptical about Violo might have left out some ambition. His shoulders tightened.
I am me.
Violo constructed me. He gave me all the logistical information I needed to process the world. He did not give me a personality or opinions. I came into this world a blank slate. I was free to develop my own free will and ideas. Not once did Violo attempt to influence that development. I raised skeptical eyebrow. It is true. Why does everyone assume otherwise? The latter half came out in a cranky grumble. It is not uncommon nor shameful for someone who want to focus tending to their home. He would act like it's some kind of major sacrifice. For many it is. Many, not all. I don't see myself as sacrificing anything. There are many things about life I wish it could change. Work is not one of those things. Violo seems to ignore your opinions though. Fury was in my face at lightning speed. Okay. I flinched back.
What?
What did you say? What are you trying to imply? He doesn't seem to take your opinion into account. I mean, I'm still here. You can't really be a caretaker when someone goes over your head. He always listens to me. Thank you very much. Last words came out in a bitter snarl. If I snapped your neck right now, he'd pout. He'd get over it. I've chosen to not push the issue too hard because I know this is something he needs to do, not something he wants. Isn't that a sacrifice? Hardly. Ray pulled back with a disdainful snort. You're right. I passed in my mind to finish processing my thoughts, but they were honest. Honestly, I've really taken half step back. Oh? I've been lucky in my relationships in life, but during the good times I would have done anything for them, even if it hurt. Relationships are supposed to be about compromise after all. It was wrong of me to immediately jump to conclusions. How does the old saying go? Some people make an ass out of you and me. I apologize. You are forgiven. It would be foolish of me to say I don't know where the misconception comes from. In normal circumstances, the power imbalance between my love and myself would be horrifying. I got very lucky in the sense that he's very sweet. Never had too much of a chance to see that side of him, so I apologize as well. Hope my shock didn't twist my face up too much. Yuri's pleased grin had me relaxing some. I'm glad that you followed along. Decided to have begun impressing good. You'll need to. Sorry this morning annoyed. Now I'm content. That's a mood change. It is a peculiar one. Yuri walked over and leaned close to me. Once again. His gaze was intense from a distance, but this close he really took my breath away. We don't have an act happy image for Vivere, I guess. Keep something good. Try to stay in our good graces. It's important to remember to feed both of the animals you're caged with. And not in my head. Reached down and patted my shoulder before backing up to leave. See how the dungeon behave. Alright. Now we'll try. Can I get caught again? Good. He left without further comment, and I could finally enjoy my morning. I guess anything they do, they see. Or anything we do, they see. Shortly after Vivere left, forced myself to keep my energy up. Then I paced. I wanted to go out exploring again, but I already pushed my luck by wandering too far at once. Instead, I'd gone wild about my reaction this time. Were the benefits worth the risks? Needed to expand my naps. I needed to find an exit that wasn't a window, but a lethal drop. Has to be a gate or a door, or maybe a tunnel. Old wise tales mentioned that all Imperium castles had a network of hidden tunnels for the servants. Those tunnels indicated discreet exits for their assassins. Of course, I never actually gotten to see a proper Imperium castle. They were all destroyed during the revolution. Relying on old wise tales beat fumbling around in the dark. If I remained precise and thorough, secret interest wouldn't evade me forever. The dungeon was, thus far, the only place I'd been banned from, too. replying to the letter of my imprisonment and not the spirit could get me in trouble. I just have to hope I could get out of it. Grab my maps and materials, pause to rip up some fabric to create a makeshift bag. Didn't have a needle, but there was enough thin pieces of metal scattered around the room I could bend into rings. When my gear organized, walking through the hallways became less of a hassle. The apparitions seemed a bit frantic and antsy, but from earlier explorations had put them on edge. A few of them even hissed at me. So I had to focus on expanding my map in a circular pattern around my room. The layout of this place seemed confusing by design, so using my room as a focal point would help me stay oriented. I also didn't know where my room was placed. I had windows looking out onto wildlife, but it could be another inner garden. The car planned to send a ship, so I needed to find a way to the beach. Maybe up then? If I could find a vantage point, it would help a lot. So my time searching for anything that might be a secret lever or button, check for anything that could be moved. Castles spotted at me a few times, but mostly ignored me. My close examination of the area allowed me to notice the shadows oddly darkening.
Would you bleed for me?
Well, that's kind of scared me.
Would you die for me?
I was about to think it was some kind of phenomenon until I heard Violo's voice singing that lullaby. Hairs on the back of my neck stood up. What was he doing? I approached and found him with his hands raised, black and gold magic swirling around him. Castles shuffled around them, and ruins began to manifest on the floors and the walls. One aberration sat nearby. It looked rotten. As disgusting as most of the aberrations looked, their skin had been fresh. This one bled in awkward areas, while wounds leaked pus and drying blood. They walked on his hands and feet with an organic spine, locking the shoulders and hips into a permanent oriental position. They walked belly up, and his arms seemed to have full rotational abilities. Someone had twisted his head 180 degrees and forced it to face forward. A variety of tools had been stabbed into its wheezing belly. Okay. Violo's hand settled onto a serrated dagger. He pulled it out with a vicious motion. Told you time and again to stop being a little... Oh, now. It's just centuries. Quit whining. It's nice and let you out of the kitchens, but you're still complaining. It's annoying. He held the dagger up in the air, making eye motions with it. I yearned for my third eye, and without it, I couldn't see any magic he wasn't directly manifesting, so I had no idea what he was doing. My mind then refocused on what he said. Did he call that thing father? Tried to set for only for a long chain on my wrist to trip me up. Rolled with the fall, hoping that the aerial elementals wouldn't rat me out. Well, okay. Me, whispered to myself. When I looked up, I saw Violo's eyes staring in my direction. What a curious encounter. Whatever are you doing around here? He started over and pulled me up with my hands, not gently, but not roughly either. He dusted me off a bit as well. This is far off from your room. That bored? I struggled to try and find something to say, never been exactly charismatic. Oh, you're making maps. It's a way to keep yourself entertained, I guess. Will shrugged. He didn't sound angry. That doesn't upset you? The majority of the secret exits have been removed. I bit inside of my cheek to avoid making a noise. Feeling path out will be rather painful for you. I don't know if you can make that walk. He shrugged. If you do, I'll just catch you again. He chuckled. The little creature let out a crackling bellow. Violo's gaze turned sharp and he whirled around, while lightning shot between him and the creature. He screeched as lightning circulated through the metal instruments embedded in it. I'm just close to ripping out your vocal cords, Father dearest. Violo growled. He approached the seizing figure to kick it in the side. Wasn't your whole shtick to be a man, Father? Stop being a little wuss. The sight actually shocked me. I observed him treat tables and books and forks and Dora better than he treated this aberration. He turned back towards me. Apologies for the noise. Father Dearest has a tendency to beg whenever humans are around. Father? Yes, the sack of shit has bred a bitch to have me. Oh, wow. He rolled his eyes and kicked the creature again. Suffering his eternal punishment for his crimes. His mind is fractured beyond repair at this point. Violo pouted and crouched near the creature. You only remember who I am, do you, Father? It's more infuriating than anything else. Suffering isn't as sweet when you don't recognize the hand that holds the saw, you know? Violo shrugged. He spoke about it so casually. But there was something there. A bit of roughness to his voice. A sharpness to his motions. He actually looked distressed. That's what it was, distress. For the first time, he didn't seem to be comfortable, even in his rage. The creature's arms thrashed, and I saw him instinctively flinch. Sacrarium's alright. Did that, yeah. The flower circle created a ring that had Violo study in the center. It also seemed to cut through Vivere's garden. Wouldn't be able to explore much further until the spell was done, but having a small area to focus on wasn't bad. It gave me a chance in time to be more thorough in one area. The space was far from truly small. I wandered the halls with attention, checking every nook and cranny. Few doors refused to open for me, but many opened to cluttered rooms of old items. None of the items seemed to have any value beyond sentimental, and I couldn't find anything of use. Eventually I wandered out into the garden, but wouldn't I run to Vivere. I thought we were asking him if he was alright, but I guess not. As though the goddess of mercy had heard me, only his odd plants and entities ambled around. They allowed me to examine the fountain in peace. In doing so, I found an old groove that crackled of one of the chains brushed against it. Curiosity was ended by the sound of the wheezing abomination, though not a chopping noise. It peered from my periphery and began to tug on my chains. The wheezing monstrosity roughly tugged me to the dining hall. The speed I dropped my chains almost sent me stumbling into the table. Wheezy, gentle. I guess it's only human. Creature let out an echoing hiss before wandering off. I thought you two were busy. We are very busy. Just something important to discuss. Something important? Yes. I kept a neutral face and began to eat, waiting on them to continue the conversation. Results of your samples have been deciphered. I paused my hand motions. Well, I figured they might take longer to process. I also couldn't tell why you wanted to tell me about it. It was a process. Since you were magic, you don't have a normal aura. But I got creative. Rian pulled something from under his seat and slid it over to me. It appeared to be a long scroll covered in markings that I couldn't decipher. You see, one's aura is useful for interpreting them, their body, and the magical influences of their life. But an aura is just an easier, faster manifestation of this information. If you dig deep enough, you can find it in physical samples too. I stared at the scroll, and noticed a few symbols repeating over and over. The network of markings still remained unclear. This is the history of all magic that has ever touched you or your fate. And Pario shared a look. Do you see those large repeating marks? I stared at the scroll and nodded. The symbol of the combination of influences, godly influences. For the Huts? I guess it's normal for cute. Not to this degree. Look at this. Another scroll was tossed my way. There were a few slightly larger marks here and there. Most were uniform and unimpressive. That is the influence history of your average mercenary mage. Mary pointed out the repeating large symbols. This is unnatural and unpleasant. What does it mean? These two gods are faith and death. They're trying to kill you very consistently. I'm sure if we asked you about these times, you would have a near-death experience. I feel like my heart stopped beating. Am I alive then? Who shared a look? Answer me. Betrayal. Literally. There's no god of betrayal. There is a powerful devil of betrayal, and while he cannot appear here, his followers can. He used them to circumvent your fate. Even me finding you on that ship was his doing. Here he pointed out the most recent symbols of death and faith. He then traced an eye ring that isolated them from the rest of the marks. The ring had a tendril that slowly reached out and touched the golden weird rose. I shuffled the scroll back and forth, processing the information. The ring appeared and isolated the bigger marks each time, reaching out to the other things and pulling them to me. Why?
Truly an intriguing situation.
Because of your condition, I don't know how or why you're formed this way, but you kill the world if we had children. So when the gods want you dead, it's appropriate you can create an army of humans with this anomaly. It terrifies them. I stare at the two in confusion. The only thing keeping the gods from being killed is the fact that their deaths cause horrific backlashes. There's Zero Bone Cage, where Sacrarium Pario is. You've heard of it, right? I fit the size of a small country in the ocean waters, bones of a dead god rotting in the dried out reefs. Sailors always give it a wide berth to avoid being pulled in the dangerous currents. That was caused by the death of justice. Their death released a giant spell of energy. Thus, killing them isn't an option if you want to avoid decimating the world. But you changed that. Violo leaned in, excited. You had gone off to make a bunch of babies. Your blood level persists with this anomaly. Me and the other boys would begin to exist. Eventually people would study it. People would find a way to circumvent the dead god's wrath. Obviously they couldn't allow that, so they've been trying to kill you. The devils have kept you alive. If the gods die, they think they will get a rampage across the mortal realm. They're wrong, of course. Lord Crusty Snow wouldn't let the gate falter no matter what. But devils can be short-sighted. My head spun. Was I breathing? I couldn't be sure. My head shook, my hand shook while holding the scroll. All of it. All of my pain. All of my hurt. It was the fault of the gods. I sat in stunned, motionless silence. Quite the shock. We know. You're being honest though. How would we bother to lie about this? Vivere tossed his hair over his shoulder. It's not like you can leave, so enticing you to stay isn't exactly something we bothered with. It also isn't supposed to be a morale breaker. What did you know about your situation? If you set off foot off this island, you become vulnerable to them again. Here, they won't bother you, so you can relax. I certainly couldn't. They breezed past that bombshell like it was nothing. I really managed to mechanically choke down my food. My mind hadn't been caught up by the time I lay down in bed, exhausted beyond repair. Every betrayal I'd suffered flickered horribly on loop. The gods were to blame for it all. I buried my face to a pillow to scream. Life was never fair, but I hadn't expected it to be this painfully skewed against me. Next morning was odd. Tried pinching myself, hoping it was a dream. Found the scroll Vera had given me inside. Before I could fall into reflection, someone knocked on the door. You're awake now, yes? Yes. Door opened and Vivere still rode in with a tray on his hip. He yawned loudly. You and him are both always up so early. He growls while setting the tray down on my nightstand. Still, last night I gave you some distressing news. Got some more food to help you wake up. I don't know if food is going to help me wrap my head around the situation. At least give you some energy to do so. He patted the top of my head. Being surprisingly sympathetic. Well, it's always distressing when the god directly put their nose into mortal business. Vivere shrugged. My sunshine? Oh, Violo's voice echoed down the hallway. Around the corner of the door, a smile on his face. For a moment I saw it twist into something unpleasant, but it corrected itself. You're supposed to be resting. He told that while walking over and draping himself on Vivere. Come on, back to bed. Fine. Very ruffled his hair. We have this day to relax, Riley. Take some time to think. I nodded. That's where Violo glowered at me for a few heartbeats. Might have been seeing things. No, I saw something. Either way, the 7th day has reached and I was alive. I had to count for something. Hello? I didn't reach the ending. Oh no. Was that it? Hold on. I neglected to remember that this is the demo. That makes me so sad. Because I was definitely trying to see how it's going to play out. Because I think Violo was going to be slightly jealous. Maybe. I don't know. But Sacrarium Pario. So that is, I guess, the end of this demo for now. Unfortunately. I forgot it was a demo. I was like really excited to get to the end. I love the voice acting, the artistic style, music, everything. It comes together really nice. Kind of sad that it's done for now. I was really invested, but you know, it is what it is. So I guess, you know, if you want to play this game for yourself and wait for the next part to come out, you know, in future developments, of course everything will be in the description below for y'all to do that. If not, that's totally fine. I love this game. If you're watching, you know, you should love this game too. So with that being said, it's gonna end it here. Also, if you liked the video, you know, of course, don't hesitate to like, share, comment, subscribe to support the video and the channel. If not, totally fine. But with that being said, hope y'all had a good day, a good yesterday, and better tomorrow. And I will catch y'all in the next video.